Currently, NASCAR is undergoing significant adjustments that will impact its future. Industry insiders are discussing everything from legendary drivers making their debuts to new rules that will change the way teams operate. In this video, we'll look at the new 3-charter limit restriction per team, how it affects the competition, and what it means for NASCAR's future. This will certainly shock some, as NASCAR is once again changing big time. One of the most talked about events is the 2025 Daytona 500, which will feature a legendary IndyCar driver making his NASCAR debut. Let's go into the specifics of this great news, its repercussions, and other important racing updates. Helio Castroneves, the 4-time Indy 500 champion, is apparently seeking to qualify for the 2025 Daytona 500. Castroneves, known for his personality and superb driving abilities, is prepared to compete in the renowned race on Daytona's high banks. He will join Trackhouse Racing's Project 91, which aims to introduce international racing stars to NASCAR. Shane Van Gisbergen's victory in Chicago in 2023 was the first time Project 91 made news. However, the car did not race in 2024, making Castroneves' return a much-anticipated one for the program. This open-entry car is not guaranteed a seat in the race, thus Castroneves will have to qualify by speed or the duel. If successful, he will battle against the top drivers in one of the most difficult races in motorsports. Castroneves adds extensive experience and energy to this undertaking. As one of just 4 drivers to win the Indy 500 4 times, he has already secured his place in racing history. Joining the Daytona 500 allows him to accomplish a unique feat, winning both the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500. Only 2 drivers, AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, have accomplished this extraordinary feat. If Castroneves succeeds, he will join a select group and cement his legacy. The Daytona 500 entry list for 2025 is expected to be one of the largest and most competitive in recent years. According to reports, there could be as many as 46 entrants, comprising 36 chartered teams and 10 open entries. This would be the largest field in nearly a decade, boosting excitement to the qualifying matches. Confirmed open entrants include JJ Yaley of NY Racing, BJ McLeod of Live Fast Motorsports, Mike Wallace of NBM Motorsports, and now Castroneves of Project 91. Unconfirmed entries add to the mystery. The Legacy Motor Club, led by NASCAR veteran Jimmy Johnson, is expected to field a car. Martin Truex Jr., with the sponsorship of Joe Gibbs Racing, is also expected to compete, possibly through a collaboration with 2311 Racing. If all of these entries materialize, fans will be treated to an incredible performance during speed weeks. This year's Daytona 500 is about more than just the drivers. It's about NASCAR's altering landscape. The 2025 season marks the introduction of a new charter agreement, which will have a significant impact on the sports organization and economy. While many elements remain unknown, this deal paves the way for the next chapter in NASCAR's history. Charters ensure consistent participation for teams, but the growing number of open entries demonstrates that there is still room for ambitious drivers and teams to make their mark. Castroneves' effort at the Daytona 500 demonstrates NASCAR's ability to recruit talent from across the racing spectrum. It's not just about adding star power, it's also about demonstrating the variety and talent required to participate in this unique series. Fans will have the opportunity to see history being made. Whether or if Castroneves qualifies, his presence adds interest to an already historic event. The excitement does not end at the Daytona 500. The offseason has already produced exciting action, such as the matchup between Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell in the Tulsa Shootout. Bell edged Larson by half a car length after 55 laps of fierce racing, demonstrating why these two are among NASCAR's brightest lights. Joe Gibbs Racing has lately eased its ban on extracurricular activities, allowing Bell and others to partake in events such as the Tulsa Shootout. This decision benefits not only the drivers, but also NASCAR as a whole, by increasing its reach and legitimacy. As the 2025 season approaches, a mix of great drivers, rising stars, and fresh chances is paving the way for an unforgettable year in racing. The Daytona 500, sometimes known as the Great American Race, provides an ideal starting point. Fans will be watching attentively as Castroneves bids to qualify, aware of the significance of his potential accomplishment. At the same time, they'll be rooting for their favorite drivers and teams, waiting to see who wins this famous event. Helio Castroneves' path to the Daytona 500 is more than simply a race narrative. It's a tribute to passion, perseverance, and the universal attraction of motorsports. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a casual viewer, this year's Daytona 500 promises drama, excitement, and memorable moments. From the boom of the engines to the exhilaration of the last lap, the race captures everything that makes NASCAR such a popular sport. According to Bob Pockrass, Cup Series teams are currently limited to 3 chartered entries per organization, with the exception of 2 prominent teams, Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing. These 2 can continue to field 4 chartered vehicles under the new rules. If other teams desire to run a 4th car, it must be an open entry. This adjustment appears to provide Hendrick and Gibbs a minor yet significant competitive advantage. Having a 4th car means additional data may be collected during races, perhaps giving these teams an advantage. However, most Cup Series organizations appear to agree that 3 vehicles is the appropriate number. Justin Marks, Trackhouse Racing's owner, once stated that 3 teams are a strong and manageable quantity. He noted that having 3 vehicles increases opportunities on the circuit without requiring excessive resources. Many other teams, including Penske and RFK Racing, stick with 3 chartered cars. However, the ability to field a 4th car is reserved for larger companies with more resources, which may appear unfair to smaller teams attempting to compete. This is not the first time NASCAR has limited team sizes. In 2005, NASCAR implemented a rule limiting teams to 4 cars. Roush Racing dominated the sport at the time, with 5 cars. Instead of requiring an immediate transition, NASCAR permitted Roush to fulfill current contracts before downsizing. This staggered approach offered the team time to adapt, resulting in smoother transitions for drivers and sponsors. By 2010, Roush was operating 4 cars in accordance with the rules. The question now is whether Gibbs and Hendrick will eventually have to do the same, or if they can keep their 4th car permanently. NASCAR has not stated whether there is a long-term plan for this scenario. The grounds behind the new rule are unknown. Back in 2005, then CEO Brian France explained that limiting team limits was intended to make the sport more accessible to new owners and independent clubs. He believed that fewer teams would provide more opportunity for younger drivers and new leaders in the sport. The actual barrier to enter in NASCAR today is the expense of charters, which can exceed $50 million. This cost barrier makes it difficult for new teams to enter the sport, regardless of how many cars larger teams are permitted to have on the grid. As NASCAR enters a new era, the 2025 season is shaping up to be a watershed moment for the sport. With rule revisions, evolving team structures, and the rising presence of international racing talents such as Helio Castroneves, NASCAR is embracing innovation while remaining faithful to its heritage. The Daytona 500 is the ideal stage for showcasing this progress, combining the thrill of race with the exhilaration of witnessing history being made. Fans, teams, and drivers are preparing for a season that will be both tough and inspiring. The new charter rules try to strike a balance between fairness and competition, while the surge of new talent and open entries brings new excitement to the sport. Whether it's a seasoned driver like Castroneves making his debut or rising stars like Christopher Bell pushing the envelope, NASCAR continues to captivate its fans with a blend of unpredictability and tradition. As the engines roar to life and the green flag waves, one thing is certain: NASCAR's voyage into 2025 demonstrates the continuing attraction of motorsports. The next season is about more than simply the races. It's about the tales, rivalries, and shared passion that have made NASCAR such a popular part of the sporting world. Buckle up, this is only the beginning.